The breakfast had been going well. They were working together. And then President Trump became enraged. He started ranting about the decision, not only calling it a disgrace, but started attacking the courts, at one point saying these effing courts, but using the actual language there.
These courts. Donald Trump ranting and enraged. And that's how Trump reacted to this. Headline: Supreme Court strikes down Trump's sweeping tariffs. Ruling is a major setback for the president's agenda.
This is one of the most significant cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump's use of these emergency tariffs that he has implemented are illegal. It's the most significant economic case to reach the high court in years.
Not only is so much of his economic agenda based on these tariffs, so much of his foreign policy is based on these tariffs. He has used these tariffs as leverage in almost every meeting that he has had around the world. He has touted them as the most important part of the economic agenda. So clearly a huge loss, and he recognizes that.
The news came soon after Trump began a White House meeting with dozens of state governors.
Well, thank you very much, everybody. Thank you very much. And I guess we're going to be asking the press to leave. And that way we're going to talk very candidly.
Trump had reportedly been alerted that a Supreme Court decision on tariffs was coming within minutes. Perhaps relatedly, Trump then kicked the media out of the room.
But thank you very much for being here. It's a great honor. And the media, thank you. You can leave now.
With the cameras and the reporters gone, Trump was handed a note saying the Supreme Court had ruled against him. Trump erupted, telling the governors that the Supreme Court justices who ruled against him were a disgrace. Trump repeated his diatribe later against the justices in a news conference.
They're against anything that makes America strong, healthy, and great again. They also are a, frankly, disgrace to our nation, those justices. They're an automatic no matter how good a case you have. It's a no.
3 of the justices who ruled against him are conservatives. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion and was joined by Justices Amy Coney Barrett and Neil Gorsuch, who Donald Trump named to the court. In other words, 2 of Trump's handpicked justices defied him. Donald Trump was so angry in his news conference that he refused to even take a question about that, much less ignore it, from CNN.
No, please. I'm not talking to you. I don't talk to CNN. It's fake news. Go ahead.
Mr. President.
Donald Trump was so unhinged that he started bragging the Dow Jones Industrial Average had reached over 50,000. But C-SPAN then put the Dow on screen showing it was actually less than 50,000 at 49,000.
Nobody thought it was possible to do it within 4 years, and we did it in 1 year. They said you'll never be able, you'll go back and you read the geniuses, read their statements, all of the Nobel Prize winners in economics. They said, no, you couldn't do it in 4 years. Well, we didn't do it in 4 years. We did it in 1 year.
Dozens of Republicans said they opposed the Trump tariffs and were relieved the Supreme Court ruled against Trump. That prompted another presidential rant in response to this news conference exchange.
Several of Republicans in Congress have supported this decision by the Supreme Court. And Hakeem Jeffries, the Democratic leader, has called you a wannabe king.
Why wouldn't him a low IQ?
But why wouldn't
he doesn't even know? And I watched him the other day interview. The guy doesn't even know what a tariff is.
But there's been bipartisan criticism.
No, not bipartisan.
Of the tariff.
Excuse me.
There's several Republicans have said that.
Yeah,
but
a few people.
Why wouldn't you just work with Congress to come up with a plan?
I don't have to
push tariffs.
I have
through.
the right to do tariffs, and I've always had the right to do tariffs.
But not according to the U.S. Supreme Court, and not by using emergency powers as Trump had claimed. Trump says he will now try to impose tariffs through a different justification.
But other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected. We have alternatives, great alternatives. Could be more money. We'll take in more money.
Legal experts say the alternatives will still need congressional approval. And lawmakers in both parties say Donald Trump simply does not have the votes. In the meantime, Donald Trump seethed at his news conference that the Supreme Court justices who ruled against him had been bought by foreign interests.
It's my opinion that the court has been swayed by foreign interests and a political movement that is far smaller than people would ever think. It's a small movement, I won by millions of votes. We won in a landslide. With all the cheating that went on, there was a lot of it, but we still won in a landslide. Too big to rig.
Actually, while Trump won the Electoral College in 2024, he lost the popular vote. More people voted against Trump than voted for him. And regarding Trump's claims about foreign influence over the 6 Supreme Court justices who ruled against Donald Trump, there was this.
Mr. President, you mentioned multiple times foreign influence over the Supreme Court. Do you have evidence of that? And if not, will you investigate that?
You're going to find out.
You are going to find out? Donald Trump is not well. He is clearly deranged, delusional, and infantile. And his cognitive skills, on top of his physical capabilities, are rotting. But no matter how sick or crazy Donald Trump becomes, at least the U.S. Supreme Court has finally made it clear there are still some lines that even the conservative majority justices will not cross. Donald Trump's tariffs have been defeated. If Trump wants to impose tariffs, he will have to go to Congress. In the meantime, Trump is angry, ranting, and enraged. And even by Trumpian standards, at the White House, all hell has broken loose. By the way, new reports show that Donald Trump's economic policies have caused the U.S. trade deficit to skyrocket.
The trade deficit for the month of December, $70.3 billion, significantly higher than the $53.0 billion reported for the month of November.
Headline, Washington Post, U.S. runs record trade deficit in goods despite Trump's tariffs policy. Quote, the U.S. merchandise trade deficit hit a record $1.2 trillion last year, despite President Donald Trump's promise to eliminate it by imposing the highest tariffs in 8 decades on foreign-made products.
The whole idea was to bring back manufacturing jobs to the United States.
Right.
You know what's happened to jobs in manufacturing in the last year?
They're down.
They're down.
They're down.
They're down. Did he succeed?
Might be a lag. Might
be a lag, but they're down. So very clear he didn't succeed over the last year in bringing back manufacturing jobs. I mentioned the very large decline in manufacturing jobs. The decline in blue-collar jobs is even larger. And you look at where is the increase in jobs in the United States? Right. Healthcare. Does that have anything to do with the tariffs?
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular was from Jabi, who wrote, "Go figure, Mr. Bankrupt is a clown." I hear you. I look forward to reading your comments about Donald Trump going even more berserk thanks to a brutal and stinging Supreme Court defeat. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.